The iPhone 14 Pro Max is a very compelling iPhone in 2025, and in this video we're going to discuss its tech specs, its design, how it compares to the latest 15 and 16 Pro Max. We'll snap some photos and videos with it, and talk about how this phone holds up here in 2025. So the 14 Pro Max features a 6.7-inch display with stainless steel edges, a frosted back glass, and a triple lens camera array, so it largely features the same design formula as the latest 15 and 16 Pro Max. The only substantial design change being that the side material on the 15 and 16 Pro Max has been changed to brushed titanium. Also, where the edges of the front and back glass meet the metal sides has been rounded off more on the newer 15 and 16 Pro Max, where it's much more squared off on the 14 Pro Max. So the 14 Pro Max feels a little boxier and sharper in the hand in comparison to the 15 and 16 Pro Maxes. In terms of display tech, the 14 Pro Max is just about as premium as you can get. It's got an OLED ProMotion 120Hz display with a peak 1000 nits brightness typically and up to 2000 nits when outdoors. It has the dynamic island, it actually being the first iPhone to ever introduce this. The 14 Pro Max actually features almost the exact same display tech as the 15 and 16 Pro Maxes. The only noteworthy display differences being that the bezels on the 15 Pro Max and even more so on the 16 Pro Max have been trimmed down, and also the 16 Pro Max has a slightly larger 6.9-inch display, but for all intents and purposes, the 14 Pro Max has the same display as the 15 and 16 Pro Max. And guys, when I'm out and about, having quality accessories to keep my iPhone protected and charged up are a must-have. And I've been loving some of Taurus's super useful iPhone accessories who sponsored today's video. Their O-Fitness case, in combination with their LoopGo crossbody phone lanyard and their mini mag power bank, keep my iPhone protected, charged up, and looking fresh and stylish. The O-Fitness case comes in many diverse color options that can match any aesthetic you're going for. My favorite feature of the O-Fitness case is the 360-degree rotatable and adjustable stand that allows you to stand your iPhone up vertically or horizontally at any angle you want, which is perfect for watching videos. And it seamlessly blends right back into the case when closed. The stand rotation also has this very satisfying clicky noise as well. Of course, it's fully compatible with all MagSafe chargers and accessories, such as Taurus's own mini mag power bank. The O-Fitness cases also feature a nice side texture for a secure and comfortable grip. They also feature double drop protection thanks to internal wave airbags and reinforced corners, which elevate impact resistance to military-grade standards. Taurus's LoopGo crossbody phone lanyard allows you to have instant access to your iPhone when you're out and about, and will prevent you from ever dropping your iPhone again. It's available in multiple colors to nicely complement any phone case color you're using. You fasten it to your iPhone by placing a sturdy pad at the bottom of your case and then attaching the clasp to the pad, and then you're good to go. It's fully adjustable and is super easy to use. And Taurus's 5000 mAh mini mag power bank completes this setup, as it'll ensure your iPhone will remain charged up on the go. It's crazy thin and lightweight, it being just 0.88 centimeters thick and weighing just 111 grams, which is the same thickness as just a few coins. It honestly barely feels like there's anything attached to your iPhone when you use it. It's pretty impressive. It features a strong 13N magnetic force, ensuring it'll remain securely attached to your iPhone. If you're interested in outfitting your iPhone with any of these super useful accessories, check out the link in the video description down below. Huge thanks to Taurus for sponsoring this video. So the 14 Pro Max features a 48 megapixel main lens, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens, a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and a 12 megapixel front-facing lens. The 48 megapixel main lens delivers top-tier crisp images that are more or less identical to the newer 15 and 16 Pro Max's images. The only real difference at play with typical point-and-shoot photos like this is the fact that the 14 Pro Max uses Apple's Smart HDR4 image processing system, where the 15 and 16 Pro Max use Apple's newer Smart HDR5 image processing system, which aims to make your photos sharper in a variety of lighting conditions. But honestly, you're going to be pretty hard-pressed to notice a difference most of the time in most shooting conditions. Of course, we also have our ultra-wide lens for 0.5 times shots and for macro photography as well, which performs quite well. And of course, we also have the nice telephoto lens as well, which gives you an optical 3 times zoom, so not quite as close as the optical 5 times zoom that you get on the newer 15 and 16 Pro Max. And if you fully max out the digital zoom for photos on the 14 Pro Max, you'll get a 15 times times zoom, where on the newer 15 and 16 Pro Max, you'll get a closer 25 times zoom. Here's some 4K 60 frames per second video shot on the 14 Pro Max, in addition to the 15 and 16 Pro Max. It goes without saying, the 14 Pro Max is a relatively new Pro Max iPhone, so it's going to be absolutely incredible for video recording, super sharp and detailed video with great stabilization. Now, there is a handful of auxiliary features that the newer 15 and 16 Pro Max introduced aimed at very intense iPhone camera users that the 14 Pro Max lacks, such as the ability to record log video, the ability to record ProRes video directly to an external hard drive, and even the 16 Pro Max's second-gen photographic styles that gives you more granular control of how your photos will look. However, you're not missing anything even remotely substantial that you'd use on a daily basis with the 14 Pro Max. In terms of the front-facing camera, it's going to output sharp images that are very similar to the 15 and 16 Pro Max. The only real difference at play here is going to be, again, the switch from Apple's Smart HDR4 to Smart HDR5, which, again, should help capture more detail in photos in different lighting conditions. But again, it's not going to be a huge difference in most shooting situations. All in all, this camera system has so much more than enough quality and features for casual iPhone camera users, and is also going to be sufficient for most serious iPhone photographers and videographers as well. The 14 Pro Max is powered by the A16 chip with 6 gigs of RAM, which is still an absolute powerhouse of a chip in 2025. It runs iOS 18 as smooth and as fast as can be, and this phone will get a minimum of 3 to 4 years of major iOS updates, this chip only being just a couple generations behind the latest A18 generation of chips. To really contextualize just how powerful this chip still is, Apple's latest iPad 11th gen that was just released back in March 2025 is powered by the very same A16 chip with 6 gigs of RAM. So you can be rest assured that this is still a chipset worth investing in here in 2025, as Apple themselves are still shipping new 2025 products with the A16 chip and 6 gigs of RAM. The only possible downside to the A16 chip and 6 gigs of RAM setup is, as a result, this phone lacks Apple Intelligence support, as Apple Intelligence requires a minimum an A17 Pro chip with 8 gigs of RAM. Apple Intelligence being Apple's set of AI features built into iOS that include writing tools, image and emoji generation, ChatGPT integration within Siri, visual lookup, and similar features. However, as we've observed throughout the Apple Intelligence rollout, frankly, most of the features that have been released so far aren't that useful at this point, and are inferior to AI capabilities from third-party apps like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Google Photos that you can download and use on any iPhone like the 14 Pro Max here. Not to mention, Apple has delayed many of the core Apple Intelligence features that were announced a year ago, so you're really not missing much with Apple Intelligence right now if your device doesn't support it, and I certainly wouldn't let Apple Intelligence impact your iPhone purchasing decision. So in terms of battery performance, the 14 Pro Max packs a 4,323 mAh battery capacity, which is a solid battery size for a Pro Max iPhone. However, battery performance isn't one of the strongest areas for the 14 Pro series iPhones, at least in comparison to any other recent Pro tier iPhones. See, within just 9-ish months after the 14 Pro and Pro Max's release, many users reported that their battery health had dropped considerably faster than normal, and were also reporting that their battery performance took a noticeable hit for no apparent reason. I don't think anybody's entirely sure as to why this occurred with the 14 Pro series iPhones in particular, but as you can imagine, in the few years that have passed since the 14 Pro and Pro Max's release, this issue has only gotten worse with all the 14 Pro and Pro Maxes circulating. It's not to say that every 14 Pro and Pro Max user has experienced battery degradation issues like this, but it was definitely enough people to generate a decent amount of complaints. I don't think it's a big enough issue to the point where you should avoid this phone, but as is always the case, if you're going to buy any used iPhone, especially a 14 Pro or Pro Max, make sure it has a minimum battery health of around 85% or higher to ensure you're getting at least somewhere close to the full battery capacity of the device when you buy it. As if you get an iPhone with a lower battery health than that, the battery performance will already be noticeably worse than it was when the device was new. So considering you could generally get a good, used, unlocked 14 Pro Max for around $530 to $580 in the used market, it's a very compelling used iPhone to buy in 2025. And if you're currently using one, it's a great iPhone to hold on to for a good few more years, as it has all the same fundamentals as the latest $1,200 16 Pro Max for less than half the price. You get a gorgeous 120Hz ProMotion 6.7-inch OLED display with the dynamic island, a triple lens camera system with a 48 megapixel main lens, and a fast and capable A16 chip with 6 gigs of RAM. There's really nothing left to be desired with the 14 Pro Max in 2025. It's kind of in this sweet sweet spot where it's new enough to have everything we expect out of a modern Pro Max iPhone, but it's also old enough to the point where you can get it for a pretty good price. Let me know your thoughts on the 14 Pro Max in 2025 in the comments down below. And if you're a user of the 14 Pro Max or 14 Pro, I'm curious to hear what your experience with the battery performance has been throughout your usage of the device so far. So let me know down below in the comments. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll catch you in the next one.